He is staring at his phone in the garage, hands still greasy from the car, when the notification lands. Something has shifted, and there is no undoing it. I built my whole American dream inside this building, and today, without a single phone call to me, that building just changed its plans for the future, and I wasn't in the room. That is the weight sitting on him right now, even if his name has not been spoken yet. On the surface, this looks like a story about one driver losing his seat. It is not. It is the story of a countdown that just started ticking on an entire race team, and nobody inside that shop knows how it ends. The surface fact arrived quietly, almost too quietly for what it actually meant. On August 17th, Hendrick Motorsports announced that Connor Zilisch will pilot the number 48 car starting in 2028, taking over from Alex Bowman. There was no fired driver attached to the news, no scandal, no shouting headlines splashed across the sport. It looked like an ordinary press release, the kind that gets read once and forgotten. That calm is exactly what makes it unsettling once the details are laid out. Jeff Gordon described the move by saying it came together the way it was meant to be, a short line that carried far more weight than its length suggested. Before going further, here is something worth mentioning. This channel, NASCAR Insider TV, is closing in on 1,500 subscribers. And if you want breakdowns like this one, delivered the moment a story like this breaks, subscribing costs nothing and helps this channel keep digging into the storylines NASCAR insiders are actually talking about behind closed doors. Like the video if it is holding your attention, drop a comment with your own read on where this goes, and share it with another fan who follows the sport closely enough to care about contract windows. Fans did not stay focused on Zilisch for long. Within hours of the announcement, attention shifted almost entirely to Shane Van Gisbergen, and the mechanics of the situation explain exactly why. Zilisch remains under contract at Trackhouse Racing through 2027, meaning he still has an entire lame duck season ahead of him before he ever sits in the number 48. Van Gisbergen's current deal runs through 2026, leaving his future beyond that point completely open. Ross Chastain is also off contract after 2027. 3 drivers, 3 separate expiring timelines, all converging on the exact same off-season window. Fans started doing the math nobody at Trackhouse wanted to say out loud, and the nicknames followed almost instantly across NASCAR forums and social feeds, some fans calling the organization Track Homeless, others going with Tractor House, dark jokes built around the fear of a team that spent years developing talent, only to watch every piece of it walk out the door at once. Justin Marks is the man now standing directly in the middle of that math, running an organization built on discovering and developing young drivers, while the sport's biggest power already picked a side about where one of them ends up. Marks has said publicly that shrinking the driver lineup would send the wrong message about what Trackhouse is trying to build. He has also said his real goal is to make the number 88 seat desirable enough that once Zilisch eventually departs, my phone rings, with drivers wanting in rather than Trackhouse having to go looking for a replacement. That confidence runs straight into an inconvenient number sitting in the standings. With 2 races left in the regular season, Zilisch sits 34th in points, a stat that raises real questions about how well the development pipeline Trackhouse built its identity around is actually translating into results right now, even as the organization's biggest long-term prospect prepares to leave for a bigger program. That brings the story back to Van Gisbergen directly. The driver most fans immediately connected to this news even though his name was never mentioned in the original announcement, and to a quote that now reads very differently than it did when he first said it. In June, speaking with Race Service, he said, "I can see myself here for another 2, 3, 4 more years." Those words now sit against a backdrop of swirling speculation about his future, and the contrast between the statement and the current chatter is hard to ignore. Outside interest has not gone away either. Spire Motorsports and Colleague Racing keep surfacing in conversations connected to his name, neither team confirmed as an active suitor, but both persistent enough in the rumor cycle to keep the uncertainty alive heading into next season. Inside the garage and across fan communities discussing it, opinions split sharply. One camp believes Van Gisbergen becomes a long-term fixture at Trackhouse regardless of what happens around him. Another points directly to Kevin Harvick and other drivers whose loyalty to a single organization did not end the way they originally expected it to, using that history as a cautionary example rather than a firm prediction about what comes next. None of this is new territory for Hendrick Motorsports. In 1992, the team signed a rising young driver to what would become the number 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Rick Hendrick has recalled that specific Atlanta moment as the point where he recognized a generational talent well before the rest of the sport caught on to what he was seeing. The Zilisch signing mirrors that exact sequence more than 3 decades later, down to the pattern of identifying a young driver early and locking him into a legacy number before a bidding war could ever begin. This is not an organization simply reacting to circumstances as they unfold. It is an organization running a playbook it has already used successfully once before to build a champion from the ground up. That history forces a harder question about trackhouse racing itself, one that goes beyond any single contract and cuts to the core of what the organization was originally built to accomplish inside the sport. Is it still the launch pad it was originally designed to be? Or is it becoming a proving ground that larger, more established teams raid the moment a driver's value peaks? Kyle Larson has praised Zilisch's maturity and overall fit within a top-tier program. A comment that signals something beyond raw speed is now driving recruitment decisions at the highest levels of the sport. Bigger organizations appear to be chasing composure and readiness alongside talent, not just lap times, which raises the stakes considerably for what Trackhouse has to offer if it hopes to retain the next driver it develops. Speculation inside the garage has extended even further than driver movement, with some fans questioning whether the organization could eventually be forced to sell a third charter altogether, and no clear consensus exists on whether Trackhouse stabilizes from this point forward or continues losing ground. Step back from the individual pieces, and 3 overlapping timelines come into focus all at once. Bowman's farewell season in the number 48, Zilisch's lame duck year still racing for Trackhouse before his eventual move, and the simultaneously expiring contracts belonging to both Van Gisbergen and Chastain. All 3 timelines land inside the exact same 2027 to 2028 window. 1 seat is already gone. 2 more are still up for grabs. Nobody in that garage currently knows who moves first, whether any of them move at all, or how much of this outcome is already decided behind closed doors that fans simply have not seen yet. Which brings this back to where it started, a man staring at a phone in the garage, hands still greasy, a notification that changed his team's entire future without a single word of input from him. That moment was never just about one driver losing a seat. It was the first domino in a sequence that is still actively playing out across an entire organization, one contract decision at a time. Whether Trackhouse Racing can convince its 2 remaining stars that staying is still their best path forward remains an open question tonight. And nothing about how this offseason ultimately unfolds is settled yet. If this breakdown helped make sense of the chaos building at Trackhouse right now, drop a comment with who you think leaves first, and share this video with a NASCAR fan who needs to see how deep this story actually goes. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.